You are listening to Radiant Creators, a collaborative project composed of people whose passion, purpose, and dedication requires forging their own unique path of empowerment and livelihood. A Radiant Creator isn't making a living, they are living.
Radiant Creators, this is us, this is Crypto Love, and we're just doing a supplemental. We're just starting to catch up with people, do a little bit more regular content with people that we've enjoyed doing it with before,
Awesome. Well, I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. I love your content. You have great interviews with people, and I'm always happy to be to chat.
Yeah, that's great. So you're on the Crypto Love World Tour right now. So where are you? Well, if you can disclose that information, where are you at?
Yeah, I'm on the avoiding rainy season in Thailand tour. That's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, so I just flew into Amsterdam last week, met up with a couple friends, a couple YouTubers, one Sasha Daygame and the other the guy behind the Word Porn brand. And so met up with them, hung out with them for a week, and then now I'm in Prague, and tomorrow I'm headed to Krakow.
Wow, that's amazing. And so, what is it with travel for you? I mean, I like it too, but it does seem that it is a soul-opening, expansive, wonderful thing to do. So it seems like you're just on a world tour right now, or you have been for a little while. So
Yeah.
what's driving you to travel this globe so much?
A couple of things. So basically, the first thing is that I make my income fully online nowadays. So for the past 2 years, I've been YouTubing, and for the past like year and a half, I've been pretty much full-time YouTuber. So I make all my income there. So that means anywhere there's internet, I can make a living, and I can do it wherever. And then, so that's one part, just having the opportunity to do it wherever. And then the other part is just kind of being fed up with the United States. I've been living there for for a majority of my life, and I've traveled to a whole bunch of places in the States, and it's just a whole bunch of I just I don't know, it just everything seemed gray there. Like it's like the difference between a black and white film and a color film. Like everything seemed gray. I'd done it all, I'd seen it all, I'd experienced it, and maybe I just wasn't looking with beginner's eyes, but I didn't enjoy it. And so, literally, the day I moved to Thailand, I was like, why did I wait so long to do this? And so, right now, I mean, my objective in life is just living most of the year in Thailand. But right now is the rainy season, so pretty much downpours every day. So I figured, hey, it's nice in Europe. Why don't I spend most of the year in Thailand, and then a few months a year I can go to Eastern Europe where it's cheap, they have beautiful women, and life is good.
Oh, I like it. So what does it take to live in Thailand if you're in America and you want to just go and be there? Like, do you need a visa? Do you got to pay off somebody? Do you got to like give somebody some goats or something like that?
So
Like,
basically, the easiest way is you can leave every 2 months. So you just leave the country every 2 months and then come back in. You're staying on a tourist visa. If you want, you can get a student visa, so you can go to language school there for a couple hours a week, and then you maintain a student visa, and that's renewable every year. If you're over, I think, 50 years old and you have over like $20,000 in the bank, you can have a retirement visa, so you can do that. So there are a couple different options. I've just been doing the tourist visa. I just every time the 2 months is up, I leave for a day and then come back. So that's been working pretty well. In terms of what does it take with cost, it's like next to nothing. I mean, I've been staying at a place $300 a month to stay there. Uh, I've been eating for like $5 or $6 a day, and it's super duper cheap to live there. Like you spend no money, and the quality of life is amazing, and it's such like a vibrant place. I've just been loving it.
and then how's the food there? I know that you at least were at one time a raw foodist, I think, or
Mm.
you're going vegan. So is there plenty of that there, or are you eating fish heads and stuff?
Yes, no fish heads for me. I was once a raw vegan. I think that would probably be pretty difficult there, or depending. I think it was definitely easy in the States to be a raw vegan because there's a whole bunch of stores to do it. There, I think it'd be more difficult. I am still vegetarian, so I don't eat meat, I don't eat fish, none of that stuff. Honestly, that is a bit difficult in Thailand because they put meat in everything. Like you can order papaya salad and it'll come with shrimp. You can order a green bean salad and it'll come with crab, even though that stuff's not on the menu. So you got to kind of know what you're looking out for. But I mean, for me, I've been eating a lot of salads there, a lot of eggs, and that's pretty much it.
Well, I understand being kind of worn out on America. I mean, I think especially if you grew up here and if you've traveled at some, I mean, it is, I mean, of course, the states and the regions are very different, but at a certain point, there's just seeing your hometown. Like if you've traveled the country a bit, then like the country sort of becomes your hometown, and then going to Canada is kind of like going to, I don't know, a neighbor's house. It's just weird. It all kind of becomes the same. I mean, I still find a lot of sweetness, of course, and I like, America. I like it here, but yeah, it's a little hard to adventure in America if you've already traveled it. If you've driven around, if you've flown around, and you've seen things. It's sort of like, well, I just look at it, depending on what state you are, people are different, average body weights.
Yeah,
And that's
pretty much.
about it. They're kind
Yeah.
of smaller in California. They're really big in Texas. They're,
All right.
that's about it. They're just different size humans. That's about the landscape,
Absolutely. Well, what
Mm.
I think the best analogy for me with moving to Thailand and I guess exploring the rest of the world was like for me it just equates to like falling in love. Like if you remember when you first fell in love with someone, you just wanted to like be there and like you fall in love with a girl and you just don't see other girls on the street. Like they just don't exist. Like that's what happened 2 years ago, the first time I went to Thailand. I was there for a month and I literally fell in love with the place. And I remember when I left after that month, I was like heartbroken. I had to go to Berlin in Germany for Lisk's relaunch. Like this was a couple of years ago, and I was literally like crying. I was heartbroken because I was at the most beautiful place I've ever been to, and then I've got to go to this cold, concrete place in the middle of winter for for this event, and it was really really difficult. So ever since that, it's just like I still feel the same way about Thailand. It's just like I'm in love with that place. I've never felt that anywhere else. There are a few cities that I like that I really like Krakow and Sedona in Arizona. Also some places in Israel. So there are some other places I really like. Also Sofia in Bulgaria. But I've never felt that love like I feel for Thailand. So I'm just gonna stay there until I don't feel it anymore.
Oh, I like it. Is it, since I'm not really familiar, I mean, is it jungly and such like that, or is it, are you in a city? Are you live in rural? What's your environment like there in Thailand?
They have everything. They have everything you could imagine. They have beautiful modern cities with malls like nicer malls than you'll ever see in your entire life. The nicest malls I've seen in my entire life are in Thailand. Uh, Giant skyscrapers, awesome construction, but they have jungles. They have beautiful beaches, crystal clear blue water where you can go scuba diving. Uh, Basically anything you want, you can find in Thailand. I guess except for a desert. I don't think they have a desert, so like you can't find that there but pretty much anything else you can find. I've been living in a city, but like when I need a break from the city, I take a flight to one of the beach towns or like there, and it's all so close and so insanely cheap. And I mean, that's one of the big drivers for me because like I earn a decent amount of money, but I just love living in places that are inexpensive because you have the same or better quality of life, but your money goes so much further. Like it's awesome because I can actually spend money, live a wonderful life, and save up a whole bunch of money because I live in these cheaper places.
The importance of freeing yourself. I mean, that seems like a big one. At least for me, I know it's really important. I would rather, well, I mean, I've always thought this, but now that I've come to do it and I'm doing it, as you free your life, it does change a lot and you really want it. I think it's something that once you've kind of freed yourself from whatever, the daily corporate grind or whatever it is, if you can be lucky enough in life to find yourself free and able to sort of, live by your own whim a little bit and do things you think are important to you, follow your interests, whatever, just read books you like, whatever. If you have the ability to, be a natural human wandering through the malls and jungles of Thailand, then whoa, everything changes. You've got your life back. And yeah, it is something very real about the expense of where you live. I mean, like if you make, $250,000 a year, that sounds great. But if you live in San Francisco, really, you're kind of just
You're
getting
broke.
by. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
broke and you're stepping in poop and you know what I mean? It's like, so you're not really wealthy anymore. But if you're making that and you're living in, let's say Thailand, well, then all of a
Mhm.
sudden, you're making quite a lot. So yeah, I mean, how's that been? I know that, you started life as, a mercenary and a veterinarian and,
Yeah.
and a couple different things, but now you're free and you've been for a while. So how's being a natural human working for you? How's that mind doing, that soul, that life?
I mean, it's honestly everything comes with kind of a cost and a benefit, but I wouldn't change where I am now for anything. Like I was in such a place that I hated, even though like people would look and I was a former NASA programmer and I was a veterinarian and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, you that was my dream job when I was a child." It was literally hell because most of my job was sticking my finger up dogs' asses and euthanizing animals. Like that's the job of a veterinarian that nobody talks about. But because people like animals when they're kids, they're like, "Oh, you should be a veterinarian." So like I was literally living in hell before that. But I like how you mentioned kind of how you can discover more of who you are, um, because one thing about kind of working for yourself and being self-determined and traveling different stuff like this, it's not particularly a lonely life unless you make it that way, but it's a very much a lone life. So you spend a lot of time by yourself, and through that, I've gotten to learn a lot more of who I am, what I enjoy doing. So like, I mean, one of my cherished possessions right now is my Kindle. And I never thought I would use a Kindle. Like I was so anti-Kindle for years. I loved reading books, but I was like, oh, I like the paper, I like holding it. Well, so I bought this little electronic Kindle, and honestly, every book I want is at my fingertips and I can take it wherever, which is so awesome. And I've always been a fan of reading multiple books at the same time. So this makes it easy because instead of having to carry this many books, I carry a teeny little thing with me. And, I've discovered how much more I enjoy reading and just how like that time where I can sit down by myself and just read, even though there's a brand new city out there and there's all these people and these girls that I can talk to and parties and everything like that, even though there's that, I just get to kind of sit down and enjoy the pleasure of reading. And I mean, doing that and other stuff is something that I've definitely gotten to experience more with my lifestyle now because back when I was working as a veterinarian, anytime I had off, I was doing damage control. Like my job was literally soul crushing work. So anytime I had off, I was trying to repair my soul. And now that I do work that I enjoy, that's benefiting people, that's helping people, that I enjoy doing, when I have time off, I can actually enjoy my life.
Yeah, when you start doing something that is good, it
Hmm.
changes everything, especially if you can be free doing it. It becomes something that you'll, fight for. You're like, I'll be happy to live under a bridge and eat out of rat traps. I don't care. I mean, I
Yeah.
would rather do something that is good. It just changes everything. It does make me think about karma, about just the
Hmm.
reality of existence. And I know for so many years, too many, I lent my hands to things that I knew were evil, that were bad. I mean, even if the company wasn't totally evil, which it usually was. Um, the people that I was working for directly were pretty much shit, you know?
Hmm.
And ultimately, you're helping bad people succeed for a company that is, uh, you know, a cancerous tumor on the goodness of humanity. I mean,
Hmm.
basically, and
Yeah.
so you start thinking like, wow, why doesn't my life work? Why am I never really happy?
Hmm.
Like, and you start getting to that point where, yeah, recovery mode. So you go on vacation, you take a week off, you don't even know what to do with yourself, and then your body has a chance to shut down and get sick. So on vacation, I would just feel bad because my
Hmm.
body, what I mean? I go, okay, I'm gonna go take a week off and go be sick. Literally, because your body was just holding, you were just in such a bad state all the time. I actually got to the point where I didn't take time off because I was like, well, relaxation is torture. You just get sick, and then like all these demons come, and you just realize all this bad shit you're doing for
Hmm.
the world and to yourself. But yeah, when you can do something good that's
Hmm.
benefiting you, that suits your interests, that makes you happy, by doing it, you're pursuing your interests, which I think is really the point of life. I mean, I know I realized that it's not my job to save the world. That's bullshit. The world's its own damn problem. I wasn't put here to fix it. What kind of a trip is that? So you clear
Hmm.
your mind, you realize, sorry, world, you're on your own. I'm just gonna have fun. And that's
Hmm.
why I'm here. And that's what I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, like, I know many people would say, well, that's very, very selfish that you don't care about the current political predicament. And I don't. I
Yeah.
really don't. I didn't make it. I didn't do it. I'm just a little natural human out here, like, yeah, running around Sedona, talking to the
Yeah.
spirit guides in the vortexes and enjoying life, and yeah, and reading my Kindle. And
Mhm.
like right now, it's funny we talk about books, the fun things you can do. It's like this one.
Yeah.
This is amazing. The Japanese candlestick charting techniques. For one thing, it's a really friggin' huge book,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's beautiful. And the crypto market is a little slow right now, just as far as daily trading, a little risky. So it's nice to have interests. For one thing, working for myself, I can
Mhm.
go, well, screw it. Until there's better positions, I'm just gonna do nothing but read this book. And this is like practicing Zen archery. I had no idea how deep this stuff was. The Japanese were doing like commodity trading and mastering candlesticks, like, I mean, before America existed. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And you realize, like,
Wow.
wow, like I had no idea this is Zen archery, the candlestick. And I was like, there's this, part of in trading that I'm missing is the perfect entry and exit, which is you
Hmm.
never get the perfect one. You want to just get the good one in the middle.
Right.
And this is it. So yeah, I get to do basically Zen archery, but it's basically Zen candlesticks, you
Hmm.
know. But we
Dude.
have to make that for ourselves. Maybe what you're doing, I think I'm doing it humbly, I say, is taking your life seriously.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
well, definitely. I mean, I agree 100% with what you were just saying, with one, like taking it on yourself to actually learn stuff, but also how you just ignore politics and other stuff like that. Because I think I've always been a fan of Gandhi's quote, who said, "Be the change you want to see in the world." Like, it's not until you can change what's within here that anything outside is going to change. But the problem with a lot of politics and a lot of people who just consume, consume, consume is they want to change everything else out there before they even look to change anything inside. And so that causes issues because the only control you'll ever have is over what's inside. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%. So, just kind of looking inside, like meditating, um, and also another thing that I want to talk about, like slowing down, how you said you get sick on vacation. So I've been the same way. Like for years, I've had such a hard time being able to slow down. I couldn't go to a beach because I just get to the beach and I just be antsy. Like, come on, I got to do something. I got to make something happen. So, my, um, I've been fasting for a while, like regularly, but the last week when I was with my buddy Sasha Daygame, he was like, "Well, because you can fast with water or without it," and he's like, "Yo, you gotta try dry fasting. Just do that for 36 hours once a week, and it'll really help you out." So I started doing that, and he's like, "But also that day when you're dry fasting, don't do anything. Just sit around, read books, watch movies, don't do anything." And I started doing that, and it's just like the most restful thing I've ever done. I did it for the first time this past week. I've never experienced anything like it because it was just so restful. I didn't have any expectations of myself. I didn't need to go anywhere because my plan for that day was just to.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think there was
Okay.
just a little bit of a lag.
Yeah. Yeah. You broke up there for a sec. You were just
Mm.
saying the most restful thing. You were
Yeah, so
saying.
totally restful. You can just lay there all day. It's nice. But
Oh, I
but
like it.
that's one of the benefits of kind of pursuing what I loved. And honestly, I feel like I had to get out of my own way and just believe the universe was supporting me, because I think 100%. If you want, I can share the story. But I think it was the universe.
Yes.
Okay, sure. So it was. I think it was definitely the universe that kicked me out of veterinary medicine. So back in like August of 2017, I started making YouTube videos, and I was just doing it for fun. I saw another funny YouTuber. I said, "Hey, this will be a personal challenge. Let's see if I could do it every day for a month." And then after that, I did it for 2 months and for 100 days, and it was just kind of a personal challenge. Well, then around November of 2017, maybe October of November, yeah, let's say October of 2017, uh, I my channel was starting to get a little bit of traction, and I was currently working at, I believe, three different vet clinics at that time because I was doing per diem work. And in one day, two of the vet clinics canceled my contract. Like, not because of anything that I did, they just didn't. It was slow. They didn't need a vet anymore. So I went from working 6 days a week down to working one day a week, and I was I was somewhat devastated because I was like, oh, now I have to go find more clinics. And even though it's somewhat easy to do, it's just a pain because you have to go find them, you have to meet new people, you have to get used to what they do at their clinic. So I was just like really down on myself. And I was sitting at one of the clinics and I was like, you know what? I believe that this is a sign from the universe that there's something more for me. And up until that moment, I didn't actually realize that I had an email account attached to my YouTube channel. So for some reason I wasn't working, so I was just sitting at home and I discovered this email, and it turned out I had a whole bunch of offers from different like cryptocurrencies to come and like visit them. So I went to one in Poland for their ICO and I covered their ICO. And that was like a really great experience. And then also like my brother was working at the time driving golf carts around the beach down in South Florida, and he was like, "Why don't you just see if they have a job for you doing this?" And I started doing that, and it was awesome because it was, you know, really it was really good pay. It was really fun just driving drunk people around the beach, lots of hot girls and everything like that. So like the universe kind of opened, and then right after that, cryptos took off in November and December. So like I really feel like it was the universe saying, you know what, you've done enough in veterinary medicine. You're done with that. You can let it go. Move on to this next thing. And it was kind of the same thing that happened with traveling and living internationally. Like I just got really, really tired, and I just felt like South Florida was just like soul sucking, and it was too much. And eventually, the universe was like, you know what? It's time for you to go. If you stay here, it's going to be the end of you. So just go. And so I sold everything I had. The only thing I have left is a 1955 Chevy, which is parked in my parents' garage. And I just sold everything else and moved to Thailand. And it's been wonderful.
Well, something you mentioned, 36 hours, like you spent 36 hours dry fasting, and that's important because when I think about it, how few people have 36 hours.
Hmm.
They really don't. And I mean, now with some people, they have families, they have, 12 kids and things like that, and I get it. And they won't have any time for the next 20 some years, probably.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is important to to free yourself, to make your own way, because uh, something you say really, rings true with me. Like the universe told you, yeah, that feeling of the universe says, like, if you stay here anymore, you're done. You get this feeling of where I'm just going to die. Like, basically,
Hmm.
my soul is so bored of what I'm doing with it that this body is I'm just going to get hit by a bus, check out with something, it's going to drop dead. Because it's funny, I really believe that you can just bore your soul into leaving the body. It goes, if this is it, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? Then just because I look at it, there's a great channeled entity called Bashar,
Hmm.
and one can know who that is or think it's goofy or whatever. It doesn't matter. He says some cool shit. And one of the things he said, he goes, for the soul, you know, like letting go of a body is like when you go get a haircut. You don't think about those hairs that got cut.
Hmm.
And the soul doesn't really think of that's how the soul thinks of the body. So if you're gonna bore it to death, it's gonna just be like, oh well, let's just trim this one, go on to more expansive things because this guy was a drag. But you
Yeah.
start feeling that, and that's the thing. You mentioned meditating. You
Hmm.
know, that is a big step for many people because all of a sudden you quiet down and you go, hey, like who's in this room? Whoa, there's this place. I didn't know this was
Yeah.
here. And that's where you hear
Exactly.
that voice.
Hmm.
And and the voice goes, you're going to die if you if
Yep.
you go to work tomorrow. And you start worrying about it. And then hopefully that person goes, yeah, F this. Because um, I like what you mentioned about the YouTube channel. You just did it because it interested you. And the next thing you know, these doors open. And that's totally 100%. It is something to really work on. Everyone, I know I need to do it further. It's something that, it is a building knowledge that I have, is that the universe really will support you, but also Joseph Campbell, when you follow your bliss, doors will open for you that were not there before and aren't there for anybody else that you didn't see until you walk through it. And I
Mhm.
know that's happened for myself in the last, well, all my life, but especially the last 2 or 3 years, where it's like even doing the show, like Radiant Creators. Oh my gosh, it's opened the universe. I mean, there's all kinds of adventures we've been on and people we've met and things we've done
Mhm.
just because this interests me, you know?
Yeah.
And it opens doors that just were never there. So I'm really amazed. That's very inspiring. And people, you're listening, you should
Thank
be
you.
inspired because that's what the show is about, inspiring people. Is that,
Yeah.
Crypto Love was like, I think making YouTubes are interesting. And the next thing you know, he's a world traveler and
Yeah.
and he's also recently voted the most eligible bachelor on the planet.
Yeah, right. I know. I hope the ladies are listening to that one. Yeah, like this morning, I just went to the Jewish museum here in Prague, and I went with a girl from the hostel, and she started asking what I do, and so I told her I make YouTube videos, and she freaked out. She's like, "Oh my God, I've never met a YouTuber before," and I'm like, "Believe me, we're just ordinary people. Like I just decided to sit down one day and start filming myself on my computer. It's really that's all it is, and that's all it was for any YouTuber. Like nobody maybe people have aspirations, but I doubt a lot of the people who made it really big had aspirations and they actually worked out. It's just something where you start doing it and people can tell if you're passionate, if you enjoy what you're doing, if you're knowledgeable, and they'll start watching. Yeah. But
Yeah.
another thing that you mentioned was the meditation. Like I've been meditating for like probably about 11 years now. And one of the most profound meditations that I just discovered recently, or at least rediscovered recently, is Osho's dynamic meditation because it's an active meditation meant for Westerners because we're just used to doing stuff all the time. We have a very active mind. We're used to like going all over the place. So this meditation is exactly meant for that. And basically, it has 5 stages, and 3 of the stages are like very, very physically demanding, physically active. So you work out all of the tensions in your body, all the trapped energy in your muscles, and you have this catharsis where you just kind of let go of everything. And then after those, then you actually do the meditation. And then after that, you celebrate. And it's just like I've been doing that now for like 2, maybe 3 months, and that's like the most amazing thing because it's just like anything that I've had stored up before that day when I do the meditation, after the meditation, it's all gone. And it's not even like I'm trying to get anywhere with the meditation. I just do this meditation and then after that, all the anger is gone, all the upset's gone, everything is just all gone and I can just start fresh. And that's been a whole new thing for me because I've found that like as I can quiet down and as I can slow down, I'm able to notice so much more.
Hmm. And that's called Osho Active Meditation.
Yeah, so he has a few active meditations, but the one that I've been doing is the dynamic meditation.
Oh, Osho Dynamic. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a note of that. Dynamic
Mhm.
meditation. Okay, that's amazing. Yeah, I mean everybody likes Osho. I mean he's just such a sweet little guy. I mean if,
Right?
anybody who hasn't watched him, just talk about whatever on YouTube. I mean he's been dead for quite a while, but
Yeah. And you can
well,
research how to do them, and then on Spotify they have the music that you do it with. So yeah, you
oh
can.
wow, that's amazing. Okay, so I'll have to get all that linked up and such because that is definitely grooving. So let's see. Well, it's raining over there. So you escaped the monsoon and now you're over there and you're in Prague
I,
right now.
yeah, I'm in
Like,
pro.
wow. How's that? I've always wanted to see Prague. I've never been, but I've always wanted to see it. And are there old churches and such there? And a lot of old structures.
Okay, start again because
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it just
So
cut off.
so yeah, yeah, cut off for a sec. So you escaped the monsoons in Thailand, and now you're in Prague, and you're in a hostel. And I'm kind of curious. What are some of the sights you're seeing there in Prague? I've never been, but I've always wanted to. I know there's I think some beautiful old churches there and such, and some beautiful old architecture, and of course, tremendous amount of history. So, what's turning you on in Prague right now?
Mm. So yeah, I came here because I've been to a whole bunch of places in Western Europe and never been to Prague. And everybody always says, "Oh my goodness, Prague is so beautiful. I can't believe you haven't been to Prague." So I was like, might as well come visit. It is a very, very beautiful city. And I think the reason that it is a beautiful city, I found this out at the Museum of Communism when I went yesterday, that basically Czechoslovakia was just handed over to Germany before the war started. Like, and they did it without even the Czech president there. It was Adolf Hitler, Mussolini, and then some guy from France and some guy from England. And they just decided before the war, you know what, we'll just give Czechoslovakia to Germany. So I think because of that, a lot of the city is still intact. Like, it didn't get destroyed in World War II. But I think the most beautiful things here are the bridges. They have a river, and there's probably like 5 really nice bridges over the water. They do have a bunch of churches. They have a big palace. But let's see, my favorite thing, I'm a fan of people watching, so I like to go to like the public square or the bridge that's really heavily trafficked, and I just like to sit there and watch people. And I just find it really interesting to watch people. I've been to a whole bunch of museums. Like, I went to the Museum of Communism, I went to the Jewish Museum. They also have a museum of sex toys that I haven't been to yet, but you know, the day is still young.
Definitely do a YouTube walkthrough of that if possible.
Yeah, that would be a good one. And then it's also absinthe is a really big thing here. So I went to like an absinthe bar yesterday and tried some of that. They had over 100 different types of absinthe, and so that was pretty interesting. I had it once before at the show called Absinthe in Vegas, but I always heard when I was younger that it would make you hallucinate. It still hasn't happened with me. I think that they say possibly the hallucinations are just because it was such high alcohol content, as opposed to actually just hallucinating from it. So yeah, that's it. It's an old city, very right now, extremely heavily with tourists. So like, I mean, you can't even walk on the street. They also have in the main square, they have an astrological clock that is pretty nice. So it kind of goes through the astrology, the seasons. It tells where the sun and the moon are. Pretty complex clock that they have there. But that's pretty much it for the city. Yeah, I've just been going from city to city, either where friends are or from places where I want to go. Like, there's another YouTuber, Devere Oren, who he lives here. So I met with friends in Amsterdam, met with friends here, and then Krakow is just a city that I love that I'm going to. Later on, I'll be going down to Serbia, where I have a friend living in Belgrade. I'll be going down to Sofia because I just love that place. I'll be going to Greece because I have some friends there. I'll be going to Georgia because I have some friends there. So it's mostly, I don't have a time for how long I'm going to stay in a place. It just depends on how much I like it. And I feel like after a week in Prague, I've seen pretty much everything. So on to Poland.
Oh, I like it. Have you found that people over on that continent, and I know every country is different and has different regions, but one thing you mentioned about America being a little boring, one thing I know I've gotten a little, I wouldn't say bored of, but that I get fatigued by seeing is what is with Americans and being so unhealthy. Like, I think America, in great part, is burnt out. Like, to some extent, like spiritually, physically, on like, it's just there's been too much stress for so long that America like needs to just travel or take a break, or something needs to happen, because I've traveled the world some, not extensively, but some. But one thing I noticed was that, like, people are in better shape almost anywhere else you go in this world. Like here in America, as you're a people watcher, you're like, damn, I feel bad for my fellow Americans, because you guys got to put down the garbage food and the stress, and you got to, like, oh man, do some Osho meditation, do something. So are you finding people are when you're people watching there in Prague, are people the same? Are they healthier?
The girls are more beautiful here than in America.
Yeah, so there you go. And it's part of that, just that they're in better shape, they're healthier. Is it?
Oh, I mean, what you've asked there is kind of, there's a
wide open question. Yeah.
I mean, I just finished reading *Sapiens*, which is a really great book talking about the history of humanity. And like, I think half of the issue with America is that it's one of the first real successful capitalist societies, but because it is a capitalist society, it needs consumers. So it promotes consumerism. Like, pretty much everyone in America is a consumer. Nobody has the whole depression mindset where you don't buy anything you don't need. You fix your own clothes, unless they're just really broke. But So we live in a consumerist society. We're supposed to watch more, do more, be more, have more. You need to buy this. You need to go shopping. You need to have a better job. You need to have better status because that is what fuels capitalism. So that's half of the issue going on there. And then I just read another book called Why We Get Fat and What to Do About It. And it's by Gary Taubes, the same guy who wrote, I think it was like Good Calories, Bad Calories. But basically, we've been sold a false bill of goods about what actually is healthy and what's not. And so, I mean, it'll be argued relentlessly over what causes people to get fat. But scientifically, it's been proven that it's not about the amount of calories you eat versus what you expel versus what you spend. It basically comes down to one main hormone that is responsible for depositing fat, and that is insulin. And it comes from eating sugar, particularly like refined carbohydrates. So stuff like white carbohydrates, sugar, different stuff like that. And that makes people fat. And in America, that's so easy to come by. And we're marketed to nonstop on commercials that say, you know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Eat cereal with orange juice and biscuits and all that stuff. And it's just all just white sugar, white sugar, white sugar, white sugar. And so because of that, it causes a huge immune response. People get really fat because of it. At least that's my theory on why it is. But I also think Americans are just stuck in the rat race because of the consumerist mentality, because we feel like we have to be individuals, we have to do better, we have to be better. We're just stuck there until we're better. We have this thing going on that I'll be happy once I have X. And so we just keep on trying to get X because then we can be happy instead of just being like, you know what, I'll just take 3 months off this year and just enjoy, because that's what most of the rest of the world does. You know, like Germany, one of the most productive societies, they have 2 to 3 months off a year. And they just kind of do whatever, you know. So I think there's a few things causing the bad health, the worn out, the high stress, all that stuff in America. And it's one of those things that you can't change America, because America's going to be what America's going to be. Let's make it great again. You know, all that stuff. You can't change it, but what you can do is change yourself. So I think that comes back to kind of taking self-responsibility and making your life be what you want it to be.
Yeah, it's true, because nothing out there is going to make you happy. It isn't. And that's something that we're very stuck on. And I guess it's an American thing, but it's also just a thing. It's a human thing. But, you know, we see it right now in a very polarized country, maybe, and such like that. And we see people going like, oh, I'd be happy if, or, oh, we really, I think our system here in America is constantly trying to make you feel, and maybe there's some validity to it or not, it's up to the individual to decide, but it wants you to feel like you're attacked, like someone's trying to take something from you. And so everybody's constantly got like their shield up, and they're just ready. They're like, don't come and take something from me. And you realize that, man, there's something to be said for, you know, maybe politics, viewing things, seeing what's going on, just seeing it for what it is, and then just letting it go. It's a sacrifice. You know, I sacrifice being pissed off and frustrated and fearful, because on the other side of that sacrifice, more Joseph Campbell, there's bliss. You know, I go, wow. Carlos Castaneda in his books, you know, he wrote that the warrior does not indulge. You can't indulge in that fear in the politics. It's weird. It's really hard. I mean, it feels like you are, you know, like when I see, you know, here in America, when I see, you know, like the latest political outrage or this or that, there's this part of me that wants to get in the game, that goes like, oh man, come on, I gotta meme, I gotta do battle, I gotta, but then you go, I will not indulge. No. Like Neil Kramer, a great philosopher we're going to have on the show this week, has a great quote. I love it. You know, is my quiet presence enough? You know, and I just go, yeah, my quiet presence is enough. I'm not going to indulge. I'm not going to do it. I'm hanging out here. Yeah. But that is a place that I'm always actively, I have to constantly cultivate, is that quiet presence. You know, it's work. And I do think that you gotta be free. It so helps if you can free your life and make money the way you feel is good. You're doing something good for the world. It just seems like there's a karmic connection between following your interests and doing what you know is the good, And then all of a
Hmm.
sudden, the doors open, life works. You can cultivate that
Right.
quiet presence, and you don't indulge in the world's bullshit. You go, I'm not gonna.
Hmm.
There's all these wars raging. Sorry, I'm not gonna do it. You
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah. There are triggers that come up all the time, but it's always like, is it worth losing my peace over? Like something for me is like whenever I have a complaint about something, like for instance, last week I was at an Airbnb, and the whole week that I was there, the internet didn't work. So like one of my friends there, he's very confrontational, and he was like, you should just call them up and just be really angry with them and not get off the phone until they give you a whole bunch of money back. And I was thinking about that, and I thought back about times when I've done that previously, because my brother likes to do that too, and he usually gets a whole bunch of money back. He usually gets, refunded everything. But like I've thought about when I've done that previously, and I'm like, yeah, I can do that and I can get money back. But by the time I'm done that conversation, I am just like enraged. I can't, like, I don't feel good at all. And so I thought about it, and I was like, you know what? It's not worth losing my peace over. Like maybe we won't get back as much money as if I just asked them to return some. But you know what? My piece is worth more than that. I don't feel like going through that whole situation.
and when you spend time to cultivate that quiet presence, and you actually cultivate it, and it becomes an energy, a power. You feel it. You feel your presence. You feel yourself. It just becomes more powerful, and you just start going, and it becomes more of a real reality for you. And you go, no, I'm hanging out right here. Yeah, I kind of want to indulge in that, but no, I'm just going to hang out here in my quiet presence, my quiet peace. And then
Hmm.
also, you kind of realize that everybody is going to live their own shit. So if there's somebody who's kind of, let's say there is somebody who kicks out bad energy and they're nasty, you go like, man, they're already living in their, and it's like they're already manifesting that world. I don't. It's weird, but you come to that place where you go, I don't need to fix a damn thing. I don't need to be right. If I get ripped off, the best revenge is success, and I'm just too busy.
Hmm.
I'm on my path. I really don't have time. It's almost like now. And that's people will, like you're saying, people can really get uptight about being ripped off. They go, oh my God, blah, you can't. And I'm just like, I'm already over it. I'm like, it was kind of fun. It was cool. I
Yeah.
got ripped off. I dig it. It's so sweet,
Yep. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really is.
Exactly. Yeah. It can, life can be wonderful, and it all depends kind of on your what's going on inside you, basically.
There's a TV show on Netflix, and it's called Stranger Things,
Hmm.
and it's weird. It's Hollywood. It is what it is. And I forget if the latest season, I think the latest season is three. And I've
Hmm.
never really watched it. I saw like an episode of the first season, but you know, like many, I'm not a big TV watcher, but sometimes you just feel like it. There's something catches your eye. And so I watched Stranger Things season three, and I
Hmm.
thought, wow, this is like a true analogy of what's going on. And if people may have seen it, may have not seen it. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. Just I give you I give you permission to indulge in mediocrity. I'm letting you off the hook. I'm actually a real minister. I can do it. God is with you. Go do this, right? You'll be absolved of the sin of mediocrity. Watch this because this monster, this horrible thing, it like grabs people's faces and it sucks the life out of them and it literally takes them over. They serve this horrible monster. And the more that serve the monster, the more powerful it becomes. And
Hmm.
that's the thing. And I really have gotten to this place now where when something wants to piss me off and I want to indulge, I just see this. I'm like, that monster is real. To me, now it's kind of like this little vision that I have. Oh my God, there's this scary ass monster that will. And the difference is in the show, it could kind of grab anybody, but in reality, it only grabs those who are consonant, who actually match its energy. So if you walk around with bad energy, then like the demonic forces, they just grab you and then you become like their servant. It's weird, but I kind of feel like to not cultivate that quiet presence and to make that stronger, you're going to serve something. You start wondering like you can so easily lose yourself. And I see people walking
Hmm.
around and I'm like, "Oh, I think a lot of these people have lost themselves. They're
Hmm.
serving something and they're not even conscious of themselves anymore." I mean, self-consciousness is a cultivated skill. And do you think it's rare? I mean, would you say that 50% of the people have it, or is it a much smaller
Yeah, and I mean, in my experience, it's a very select few people. I mean, especially Now with, I mean, everyone nowadays is a freaking cyborg. They're just staring at their phone the whole time. Nobody's present with anything other than this illusory world on Instagram or whatever it is they're looking at it on. And yeah, they're just not there. And it's interesting when you actually go around and you can connect with people because it's not something that happens that much anymore. Especially, I mean, maybe it's social gatherings where you know the people, but like just outdoors, walking around, how many people are on their cell phones? How many people are just too busy trying to get somewhere so fast? When you can actually just, I've noticed this a lot recently, that like I had never in my life did I think that girls were flirting with me until recently. Like the past year, I've noticed so much that girls are flirting with me. Not because I'm more attractive or anything like that, but just because I slow down so much and actually be present. And I recognize that they're doing it all the freaking time. And I was always too busy or too preoccupied or whatever to actually notice it. And so now it's like such a gift of slowing down because I don't need to do any of the work anymore. I just notice what girls are flirting with me and I just flirt back. All right, I can't hear.
Yeah, and so all you guys out there, if everything we've said has not yet motivated you to work on your quiet presence, it'll get you women. I mean,
Yeah, I mean it's true. It makes such a difference because in my experience, girls love guys that are present, who are authentically themselves, who are okay with who they are, who love who they are, and who are present. Because then you can actually be with them and share with them and not try to impress them, just actually experience life with them. And I think that's what they're looking for.
yeah, and there you go. There's a good tip for a future YouTuber out there. YouTube needs a channel called Presence is Sexy.
Mm.
Ooh. Baby
Yep.
Crypto loves next venture.
Yeah.
Oh, so have you been? So we're just actually at the end of this month. We're ending a Mercury retrograde period, and that
Mm.
for many has appeared to be very challenging, where they've had to kind of reevaluate a lot of their life and how they do things, and get rid of old patterns, like just break old habits. This has been a real, really cleaning out the closet, and getting rid of pieces of yourself and pieces of mess that basically are holding you back. So do you feel like has that energy caught you the last like 2 weeks or so? Have you done some reevaluating, recreating, clearing out the closet?
Yeah. Yeah. I
And if
mean,
not, that's fine. Maybe you're always doing it.
well, I haven't experienced it too heavily the past 2 weeks. The past 2 weeks have been like the first 2 weeks of me outside of Thailand. So what I've been experiencing is like the heartbreak, the loss of leaving Thailand, and just kind of trying to figure out where I belong here. Just going from one place to the next until I really feel which place I resonate with, and then stay there for a while. So I think that's what I've been doing in terms of that. But otherwise, no, not too much.
Yeah. So, and the beard, the crypto love beard, it's gone. You're looking good, I think shaving is sexy, like
Thank you.
presence.
Uh-huh.
So, are you gonna keep it like that? Are you growing it back? Did you have some kind of what happened to it? Did you wake up one morning and it was gone?
Uh, it was it was too hot and too much. Like I really didn't like having it at the gym because it was just like it would be filled with sweat, and then it would just be like sweat would be going everywhere. I didn't like that, and it was just I enjoyed the first time I had a beard. So this was like from I think July of last year up until about March, something like that. That I loved it because it was like big. I felt really powerful. I absolutely loved it. And then I went to get it trimmed one day, and the dude shaved my mustache off because that was like a whole Latino style down there in South. Uh, so then I was like, you know what? I'm just not feeling it. It's too hot. It's just not working for me. So I trimmed it down a little bit. I don't know. I may shave it off completely. Who exactly knows? Right now, I mean, the big thing for me is just ease of use right now. So like right now, I don't have to shave every day. I shave my neck like once every 2 weeks, and that's basically the amount of trimming that I do. So it's really convenient.
Oh, I like it. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny where you see like a lot of the operator look these days. The guys have the beard, and I always thought like that just kind of slows you down. I mean, like when you're like doing your operator stuff, you can't quite do it as quickly because you got your beard.
Mhm.
It's extra stuff. And I've always been like, I'm one of those people who gets terrified if like food touches my face. Like if I get just a little bit of something on me, I'm like, ah, And when you have a beard, your beard like attracts. Then I'm just like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, you might get a little something in the beard. I'm like,
Yeah,
I have to go run to the shower crying. So anyway, I'm
yeah.
kind of a,
It wasn't so bad with the beard, but the mustache was just like drinking anything, your mustache would be in it. It just made life really difficult with the mustache. I forgot about that because I haven't had one for like the past few months.
Wow. So as we wrap up, because I don't want to keep you too long, I know you got to get out there and be present and attract some ladies, but and do crypto videos. So
Hmm.
here's something a little bit mundane to kind of end on, since you do have a crypto channel. Something that really struck me recently is, so we had Trump come out, everybody's favorite character, came
Hmm.
out, love him or hate him, you know who he is. And so Trump comes out and says, I don't think much of this crypto stuff, blah, 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 and leave it going that and this and blah. So I just thought, well, whatever. It didn't really move me. I just thought that's, I never exactly know what he's going on about or why. He usually has, reasons that we see later,
Hmm.
he's a very good um, he's very good at like he plays the media like a fiddle, like it's his
Yeah.
instrument. He's great at if anybody really has studied the art of war and likes strategy, if a person has interest in such things, he's one to watch because he's very beguiling. You have to just kind of watch it with an open mind and see what comes to the things he says and does because it can be not as one may have expected in the beginning. So he said that, and it really gave me a lot of question marks. I'm like, well, what the crap does that mean? Is that good or bad for crypto? Or like, what in the world is he doing? Is this going to end up being 4D chess and is it going to pump crypto? Is it going to be good? Or is he really, truly trying to knock crypto down a notch because that's what the banks have told him to do? Or if you correlate that, right about the time he said that, that's when the IRS letters were landing because people have been getting their letters from the IRS, which are basically the scare tactic. Hey, we know you've done something wrong, or we're going to put you in the pokey. You better be very, very scared. And
Hmm.
so it seems like there's this coordinated effort of Trump saying, talking shit about crypto, and then IRS letters hitting the ground like bombs. So you have this coordinated carpet bombing, just kind of being a knife in the gut for a lot of crypto people. So if we can end it on a little bit of a mundane note, what do you think of all that I've just rambled about?
Yeah. Honestly, I think it's actually a really, really, really good thing for cryptocurrencies. So there's, I mean, the first thing with Trump, and also with Libra, like I don't listen to too much of what they say. I just listen that they're saying it. So Trump, he has a huge audience. Facebook, they have 1.9 billion monthly active users. Huge audience. All these people getting exposed to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. Now, most people don't know what Bitcoin is, but they've heard of Bitcoin. They don't know what cryptocurrencies or blockchain are, but they've heard of Bitcoin. And that's kind of the first step because that's where we all came from. We all heard about Bitcoin. I heard about Bitcoin for years before I ever got involved in it. There was a Bitcoin ATM I walked by almost every day for 2 years before I actually bought any Bitcoin. So but it's getting it to where it is something commonplace that people are used to. Like there was a time when people didn't understand what the at symbol on an email address meant or what the www on a web page meant. There was a time when people didn't understand that, but more people talked about it and talked about it and talked about it until it became commonplace. There was a time when very few people used Facebook, like when it was basically just college kids. And then there was a time when everyone's parents started using Facebook, and then everyone's grandparents started using Facebook. So like I think this is the first step into integrating Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies into society. So that's the first part. So I think it's very, very good because of that. The second thing that I'm not worried at all is something that I just kind of realized recently is that the main driving factor for Bitcoin is greed. It's something that's been around since the time of the Bible and since before then. I mean, people have talked about greed in memoriam. And guess what? Human nature, we're greedy. We have a selfish nature to us that wants to survive, but in doing so, it oftentimes works through greed. Now, there's only a fixed supply of Bitcoin, but there's a lot of people out there, and once people understand Bitcoin and realize what it is, realize that it's the modern equivalent of gold that's still being produced that you can only get for a limited amount of time, and most people can't get them. And even if every millionaire wanted to, they could only own half of a Bitcoin and all these different things. Once they start seeing that, the greed is going to kick in, and that's really going to drive the price up because it is all dependent upon supply and demand. Well, the supply is fixed, and actually it's somewhat deflationary. It's diminishing because people hold on to their Bitcoin. They don't want to sell it. People lose their Bitcoin. Institutions are buying it up at record rates. Like right now, institutions are buying a third of all the Bitcoin that are mined right now. And after May of 2020 at the halvening, they'll be buying 2/3 of all the Bitcoin that's mined. And that's a crazy amount. So these are large institutions who are going to be selling it back to us at a premium. But once the greed factor kicks in, along with people being exposed to it, this stuff's going to explode. Like I have almost no doubt in my mind that it's going to explode. I don't know when. I would think probably by about 2021, but it's just one of those things where it's based on human nature, greed, that it's going to drive the price up, and it's just getting more and more exposure. And for anyone who's involved, it's going to be a fun ride.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that's one of the, of course, none of this is financial advice, people, but yeah, I think that's one of the best things people can do. I mean, because I'm sure you get it, because of course, and I know I get asked also. People they go, well, I'd like to get into crypto, but I don't want to trade. I don't want to know much about it. I just like to be in some way. I have a feeling it's going to be good, and I always just tell them dollar cost average on Coinbase, hit it, just set and forget.
Exactly.
And you're going to be feeling good eventually. And that's a huge difference in currency because right now, the way we've, like all of our lives, at least my life, I can say, money's just been something you have or you don't. And you know that it slowly loses value. So the money you have in the bank, great, I have it, but I know that it slowly loses value, which in a way kind of keeps us from saving. It doesn't give you the same incentive to save because what you have will just be worth less in the future anyway.
And especially now because banks are so greedy, they don't give you any interest back. So they're loaning out your money at insane premiums, and they're not giving you any of the interest. They're just padding their own pockets. There used to be a time when people would actually get interest on their money saving in the bank. Now it's less than 1%, and that's considered normal, even though they loan it out at like 9 to 20%. It's crazy.
Yeah, so there's really no incentive. And then that's the thing, as the dollar devalues, people oftentimes you hear them complain about why is everything shit now? Why are products so crappy? Why is everything, so crappy? And I think to myself, it's because our currency is worth nothing. I've always thought that that's somehow tied to it. Well, yeah, everything is crap because our money is crap. There is no value to trade for something of value. It's almost like the state of products that everybody, complains about for many, many reasons. It's that I think maybe the quality of our craftsmanship is somehow related to the value and quality of our money. Like as you're walking around where you're walking around now, you look at these buildings and you go, why are these buildings beautiful? And why is there so much effort? Like they made these buildings when it was a pain in the ass. God, it was hard. It wasn't easy, and yet they did it. And there's a great street poet, I think he calls himself Speed Levitt. A great documentary just called Speed, I think it's called. And he talks about the buildings were beautiful because people felt beautiful. That made them, and now people don't feel beautiful, and so what they make is not beautiful. So anyhow, something I love about crypto is I do think it's a peaceful revolution, and I think that maybe we could get back to quality products, quality building. People could feel beautiful, just because I think currency is somehow inherent in our experience, and when your currency all of a sudden has a value, and how that changes things, where you go, okay, I'm I'm getting Bitcoin, I'm getting crypto, and I know that if I do nothing, I'll be wealthy in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That is a
Yeah.
huge difference. That is a huge difference in how you live your life and how you see the world.
Mm-hmm. Here's another little thing to think about. So back in 2010, 2011, when somebody exchanged Bitcoin for pizza, which was the first transaction that gave Bitcoin value, at that time, 1 Bitcoin was equal to 1 Bitcoin. Today, 1 Bitcoin is still equal to 1 Bitcoin, but every other form of money has devalued so significantly that when he traded untold thousands of Bitcoin for a pizza, then those untold thousands of Bitcoin now are worth millions or billions of dollars. So it just goes to show you how much other money is devaluing compared with Bitcoin, the first truly deflationary currency.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, everybody, cultivate your quiet presence and buy Bitcoin. Not financial advice, but spiritual advice.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Absolutely.
where can people get a hold of you? It's been great talking. I love catching up,
Yeah, dude.
and
Always a pleasure.
what's your info? Where can people get a hold of you? Where should they find Crypto Love?
Pretty much just go on YouTube and type in Crypto Love, 2 words. You can find it right there. That's the best place to get in contact. Has my contact information, my email, and everything on the About page. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, all right. Well, this has been Radiant Creators, radiantcreators.com. You can just go there. It's all there, everything about us. And this has been great. And we'll catch up again sometime when you're on some other continent. And maybe one of these days when I'm traveling abroad or you happen to be in America, we'll hook up and we'll, cultivate some presence.
Looking forward to it, man. Always a pleasure.
It sure is. Take care.
Thanks. All right,
Bye.
peace.
You are listening to Radiant Creators, a collaborative project composed of people whose passion, purpose, and dedication requires forging their own unique path of empowerment and livelihood. A Radiant Creator isn't making a living, they are living.